Welcome to the 69th episode of Track Help on this Sunday evening after the Hungarian Grand Prix. F1 goes into a 4-week summer break, but I'm sure karting around the world is only going to get more and more busier from now. I've heard from a lot of people around the world who are saying their tracks are packed, and simply it's the season for karting. Summer is truly underway, and from around the world we're going to see some beautiful footage, some sunny footage. We've got Ray, who submitted first for this week. It looks like he's got Orlando Kart Center. We had Nico, who needed some help with the track map. And then we had Rekka, who's got some footage from the UK. William was due to join, and onwards, hopefully if we had time to cover these drivers' footage, from Jed at Milton Keynes to Konstantinos on some sim racing this time, and finally Abdulaziz for some Villaggio karting. So the way it works over the next hour, we're going to go through the first 3 submissions and first review order. We make a very, very clear note. Make sure you arrive on time, otherwise we're going to have to move on to the next driver. And I'm afraid it looks like Ray is not here, so we're going to have to move on to Nico. And Nico's not here, so we're going to have to move on to Rekka. The plan is hopefully to start off with Rekka's footage. If William attends, then hopefully we can get his. Otherwise, we're going to go straight to Jed and round off with Konstantinos. Now, in between, we're going to take some questions from the live chat on YouTube, and we're going to go straight into a great question over here from Matteo on YouTube. He's asking, does the race box work at an indoor track? Now, that's a very, very good question, because I was curious to know myself. I went to my local track, and unfortunately, there's just no signal. It just says GPS cannot be found. And obviously, it's a very, very good area, that indoor track, where you can get coverage obviously on your phone and whatever. So I'm afraid in my experience so far, the race box has not worked on indoor tracks. If there is an update in the future for indoor, I will make a post about that. Rekka, we're getting straight into some footage at the Race Kart Center. This was your first ever time driving a kart, is that correct?
Yes.
How was your first ever time driving a go-kart?
Like I said, it was really bad at first, but the more you got used to it, you just keep going faster and faster, and then you just have to learn the technicals afterwards. So I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun.
And that's the most important thing. You've got to leave there with hopefully a smile on your face and a lot of confidence as well, because the first couple of laps you did compared to the last ones, what was the difference in timing, the first laps to the last few laps? Do you recall? Did you get a printout of all the timings?
Yes, I did. I believe I got 11th place in qualifying and 7th place in the race, which isn't too bad on my first time. And I got one of the fastest lap times of 39 seconds, which is 9 seconds.
Superb. Yeah. Excellent. That is really, really good. What was the difference then from the beginning till the end? How did you get so much faster?
I think it was more mindset and confidence, because the first time it was just a lot of gliding and on and off the throttle, and then you kind of become more confident in pushing down the throttle, really.
Absolutely. The first time anyone does karting, including myself, you underestimate how much you can push these karts, how much time it actually takes to build up speed as well, especially on 4-stroke rental karts. And when you're on a wide outdoor track, you've got that space to sort of maneuver around. With a Race Kart Center, we're going to look at the track map in a moment. It's quite a wide and flowing track, not many technical corners, barring 1 or 2. So you're able to really put your foot down and push quite a bit. Let's actually get over to a track map and hopefully identify a couple of corners, which we can go through in due course. Any particular corners that you're still trying to improve on after your first session? Which corners were those?
100% the hairpin. They definitely they warned us at the beginning that it was the most kind of like dangerous corner, and if we put it full speed, then we might land in the farmers. They'd have to stop the session and stuff, but thankfully that didn't happen. So
that's a very, very good way of telling people to back off into the hairpin. I'm just trying to locate it. Race Kart Center. Is this Is
If
this
you
how
search
we
up
put it
Blighton,
on?
you search up Blighton next to it.
Blighton, gotcha. Let's get that up. And boom, it takes us straight away. What we're dealing with over here is actually Stevie's local track. Believe it or not, Stevie, a long-time member of the academy. I remember he came on last year and he was saying, look, I've discovered a track locally and I've been doing some sessions over here. And this track is very, very unique, as Rekha mentioned, for our hairpin at the end of the straight. What was happening at the hairpin then? What were you finding difficult?
I kept hitting early apex, and my problem was that I kept going full speed into it to the point where I kind of went in the apex rather than going more deep into the curve and then reaching full speed for my exit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. So do you feel that you were, turning in earlier than you normally do, braking earlier maybe as well?
Yeah.
That's a very, very common thing, because sometimes when you are mentally just cautious about a corner, you sort of take it in slow motion, right? So, okay, I've got to make sure I'm braking early, then I'm turning in sufficiently. And sometimes you'll find turning in a bit too early will then compromise the exit. Now here we have to look at the exit and understand that it's very, very tight. So actually the preferred line would be to enter nice and wide, follow our outside curb. Yes, go for a nice and early brake just to slow the cart down, but then continue to use that outer part of the track and then go for a sharp late turn in. So we're skipping the early apex, almost skipping the mid apex too. It's a very, very small apex, albeit, and we're hitting the latter part of the corner. So what we're doing is getting a nice exit out of here. So you'll notice my blue on the inside. I'm always trying to maintain that gap on corner entry. Continue to maintain the gap. Skip the early apex, and towards the mid to late apex, that's when you cut back across the track. All the same you want to do over here next time. Enter wider, follow the outside curb, and then when you're deep into the corner, where my circle is over here, that's where we want to go for our sharp late turn-in and cut back. What's going to happen is, although you've attacked the corner at full speed, hopefully you go for an early brake, which allows you to transition back onto the gas, give it something before the apex, and then once you turn in at my black circle over here, you can then start getting more and more onto the accelerator. Let's go ahead. Let's look at some of your footage. I think these were the best laps that you did. These 2 laps.
I just cropped whatever I could, really, because my video was around 30 minutes long, so I just tried to get a video of the lap I did.
Gotcha. Which part of the video was this cropped from?
So
beginning, middle, end?
So near the hairpin. So if you start at the beginning.
Gotcha. No. In terms of the session duration, was it at this part cropped from you driving at the beginning of the session, the middle, or the end?
Middle.
The middle. Perfect. So you're basically warmed up, right? And you're pushing relatively hard at this point. I'd reckon, right? Maybe towards the end there were a few quicker laps, but that's fine. Let's look at the 2 examples that we got, because we got 2 laps. This is our entry for the hairpin. We can identify some clear reference points, which are our curb, first of all, on the left side. And then the curb sort of ends on the left side. There's a dark black line, which clearly indicates the outer limits. And on this lap, for example, you're turning in relatively, a middle. I wouldn't say too early, too late. And you can see our apex on the inside edge over here. It's a very, very small curb. We'll probably get a better angle on the next lap. Coming into the hairpin again, we've got our outside curb, an outside black line, or rather, hole in the track, that is. And then once again, we've got our inside curb. So what do you notice on the 2 laps in terms of your apex points? Were you near? Were you far? What do you notice between these 2 laps?
I'd say I'm pretty
to the curb.
Very near to the curb.
Yeah, I'd say you're doing a good job of closing the distance. The main thing is we're not all the way out here. Now, one thing you could try, and there's some other footage on YouTube, for example, the track record, Benjamin Hamilton's footage. I think that's a great one just to keep on reviewing. You'll notice that we can brake at a similar point, which is just towards the end of this curve or halfway down. Use a bit more of the entry over here, and then sort of where our second black line is, This is where we go for our sharp late turn-in. And what does the sharp late turn-in allow us to do? So apply a bit more steering angle and get closer to the inside curb. So next time, try to ride over it. Did you try to attempt? I know we've only got 2 minutes or 1 minute of footage over here, but on the other laps, did you ever manage to touch the curb, go over a bit more?
Not really. I guess my only question is, because I'm fine with doing that, it's more so because I'm going to be braking pretty late into the corner, right? So how do I gain the confidence of like, oh, like, how am I not going to crash and stuff like this? Because I'm already going really fast with the curb. I think it's just mindset for me, really.
That's honestly a great question. Let's see if we can bring some an example up over here, how one of the quicker drivers was doing it. So what you'll notice is they're entering at a similar speed, similar angle to you as well. Braking about halfway down the curb and just going for a slightly sharper turn in, closing that distance, the inside apex. So one more time. Let this load up. Entering the corner. Right now, where was your reference for braking? Was there a specific spot you were going past and then hitting the brakes, or was it all I'm feeling?
I'd say at the beginning of the corner, so where the red and white line starts. Yeah.
Perfect. You'd say about here, right? Was your braking point?
Yeah.
Cool. And I like how you were entering wide as well, compared to obviously the drive on this lap. You're staying a slightly tighter entry. Again, using the outer part of the track. Keep the braking the same. And now, what do you notice about his turning over here? Is he doing a lot or less? Steering angle.
I'd say quite a lot.
Yeah, exactly. So once you slow the car down over here, keep the braking the same, just give it a bit more rotation on your steering wheel. What does that allow you to do? As you increase the steering angle, as you turn, is get the cart to get closer to the inside curb over here. And this time, you're able to almost go 4 wheels over the curb. So what we're doing here is reducing the meters, right? Taking a shorter path as opposed to going around it, which would be somewhere on my black line here, yeah? So just by taking the shorter path, turning earlier, turning more as well, it'll allow you to hopefully get over the curb and then accelerate out, just like you were doing on the footage that we watched of yours. Accelerate out of the corner, and you'll be able to keep it within the track limits over here. When are you going to go to the track next, Rekha?
Next week on Thursday. I couldn't really get enough. So
amazing. Once you have the first experience, I don't think there's any turning back. And this is going to be a nice thing to apply in the next session. Let's keep the entry the same, the braking the same, just a bit more steering rotation on entry of the corner, so we can try to start using a bit of the inside curb like this, reducing the meters. Yeah, is that something you can do for next time you go to the track?
Yeah, I think I just have to get used to it. And before it's the other person's turn, I just wanted to ask, how can you make the most out of qualifying on the track?
Great question. A couple of factors. Number one is where you're positioned on the grid. So if you're coming out of the pits first, then you've technically got everyone behind you, right? And you might have faster guys behind you. It just sort of messes up that initial momentum. Personally, I like to get out the pits, let a few guys go past. If I know they're the quicker guys, then just try to follow right behind them. Also in qualifying, when the cart's cold, get out there, go for that initial outlap coming out the pits, go for some hard braking. Weaving works to some kind of level like you see in F1, but these are very, very hard compound tires we got. So the weaving isn't as effective as, for example, braking really hard and intentionally drifting the kart. So sharp turning, full on the gas. Warm up your tires. Once that's done, then you want to try to follow some of the quick drivers. And remember, it's all about that one lap. So you can sacrifice some of your laps just to wait for somebody else to come by and try to follow them, which leads on to the final point about slipstreaming, right? You've got to try to utilize the draft, especially at Blyton Park, which has lots of straights. If you're in the slipstream of another driver, whether they're faster or slower, you just have that distance between yourself and them, you can pick up a couple of tenths just by slipstreaming, similar to how you see in F1.
All right. Thank you, Omar. Thank you very much.
No problem at all. Looking forward to how you get on your next session, and be sure to submit some more footage in the future about that. Would love to see how you improve your timings. We're going to take a couple of questions from YouTube in the meantime. Let's see who has been commenting. Lots of comments. Let's start with Dev. So he put his comment after Matteo. Should I buy my own helmet, or can my GoPro mount be reused on different helmets? Well, that's a great question. Should I buy my own helmet, or can my GoPro mount be reused on different helmets? The GoPro adhesive mount is going to be permanent, and unless you got like some kind of a hairdryer or some kind of a heat gun, that's the only way to then remove that mount after, due to the material. So it's advised to get your own helmet. Number one, you don't have to share with people at the track anymore, especially with people who've completely sweated after the session, and then you just got to grab whatever helmet's available. And also you could put your own GoPro mount on it, with the addition of your own stickers, your own colors that you like. You can customize it. It's very, very personal to you. I believe the discussion was continued by Marcel and a couple of other drivers as well, which is awesome. And we'll just give a hi to Unique, to V Racing as well. A couple of comments on Instagram. I think it was Isaac. He's asking, is this Dubai Kart Drome? This is not Dubai Kart Drome. This was Blyton Park, which was in the UK. And what is the live call about? So you can join the KTips Academy for free. It's where you can connect with different drivers around the world. It's a global community. And every week on Sunday at this time, we got the track help session. So what you can do is submit some footage, for example, like Ray has done, put a bit of a description as well. And you can get my advice, other drivers' advice on it. Every week, we take the first 3 submissions in first submit, first review order. And then we'll able to give you some feedback based on that. So KTips Academy, just search for it on Google. You'll be able to join. I will just take one last question from Nachito on Instagram. He's saying, I have a 170cc kart, interesting, and I have to change bomb fuel. Now, I have a manual. I want a mechanic bomb fuel. Can you tell me a good one for that? I'll be honest, Nachito, I have got absolutely no suggestions for that, because I've got no experience in that sector. So we'll have to keep it like that. We've got a couple of questions. I'm going to come to Philip first and then to Ray. Go ahead, Philip.
I just wanted to answer Rekka's question about how to maximize qualifying. What I like to do is, if you are allowed, then I would like to go out for a session or two before the qualify, so I know how the track is, and then you learn a bit more before.
That's a great point.
Thank you, Philip. Yeah,
no problem.
Ray, welcome to Track Help. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Hello.
Welcome, Ray. I know you submitted first, but you joined a bit late, so we had to move on to the next driver. Glad that you made it, though.
Yes, thank you.
We've got your footage over here in the background. Is it your first time joining Track Help?
Yes.
Amazing. I assume you're joining from the States in Florida?
Yes.
And this is your local track in the background. One of the world famous tracks, I'd say, and one of the main tracks in US. How is the karting scene there for outdoors? Because I haven't heard of many tracks, right, for outdoor karting.
Yeah, this has been one of the first and only outdoor tracks I've been to in the state of Florida, and I would say it's a pretty good experience.
Definitely. I mean, based on the layout and also the karts that you're using, I think it's perfect for normal public karting. And I assume they do like some rental car competitions, sprint races, endurance races.
Yes. Last year I attended the 6 and the 12-hour enduro, and this year I attended the full season of the league night that they hold here.
Amazing. So how long have you been karting here for?
I've been karting at Orlando Kart Center since October last year.
October. How were your timings when you just started and then now?
When I just started, my timings were 140 to like a high 120s.
Yep.
And now I've hit the pace of it, which is around 110, 109, 108.
Superb, superb, superb. And I can tell that in your driving already, where it's very, very smooth. It looks very composed and relaxed. What session are we watching in the background here? Is this a sprint race, practice session?
This was before my league night, so it was a practice session.
Practice session. Cool, cool, cool. How do you sort of plan your races and then your practice sessions? Do you look at it month by month and say, okay, I can do this and this, or the whole year you look at? How do you plan your season for races?
I plan it month by month. After I get the schedule for the season, I go ahead and figure out ways that I can go ahead and practice before the races.
Definitely, definitely. And I think that ties into a great question from V Racing over here. He's saying, how many practice sessions should I do to be ready? What do you do to be ready for your championships and races?
What I do is I usually show up pretty early inside the day, and I just go ahead and do a few sessions. Inside this session, I ended up doing 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And this is only the first session that I ended up doing. The second session I haven't really posted yet.
Gotcha.
But practicing throughout the week can definitely help you, especially in rentals, to go ahead and like learn the carts. And the more carts that you bury inside of rentals, the more you'll be used to, no matter what cart you bury.
Absolutely. So you take a random cart. You don't like choose whatever's given in the practice. You just take it.
Yes.
I think that's the best mindset to have, because to also answer V Racing's question, I do very, very similar to what Ray's talking about, where you go there, you know, if you can go in the week a few times in advance, that helps. Try to go at, you know, the same time your event would normally be at. So if the race is at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Friday, go on a Tuesday at 9 o'clock in the morning or whatever. The same time does allow you to simulate somewhat in terms of the track conditions. But also then, I think 2 to 3 sessions is sufficient. That's what I found. You don't want to overdo it, but again, 1 session is normally a warm-up, so anything between 2 to 3 should be enough, and then you don't just go out and do the race, because practice sessions aren't always going to be a true, you know, reflection of what your true race pace is. You might get a bad cart, you know, you might now have to deal with overtaking and defending, whereas in the practice you're just doing qualifying laps. Let's go ahead to the track map, Ray, over here, because I think it'll be a great chance to see where you're basically driving, and it's a beautiful, beautiful track. Are you doing the full layout? I'm going to try and depict it from here. I assume we've got our start finish line, which goes this way into turn 1. Is this correct?
Yeah.
Turn 1 into turn 2. You've got your mini chicane, if you even feel it, into a brief straight. Say that again.
The king counts as turn 3, and then the hairpin is turn 4.
Beautiful. We got turn 4, which is straight into turn 5. Are we going straight over here, all right?
Straight.
Straight down. So you got a nice chance to draft, potentially go. It's all flat out, I assume, coming down over here.
Yes.
Superb. I forgot to change color. Let's do the exit of the hairpin in pink, so we can say it's sector 2. Into a right left. Now it sort of slows down, which looks like a brief breaking point. A sharp right hand hairpin, which ends our sector 2 at the top of the straight. We can try to say sector 3 is going to be a right hand sharp U-turn into your left right chicane before another hairpin. We round the lap off with a long straight again. What's your strongest sector?
I think my strongest sector is definitely sector 2, because I've learned how to take a lot of the corners, turn 9 with that sharp right-hander flat out, which has definitely helped me catch up to a lot of people on that straight going into turn 10.
Amazing, amazing. Well, there you go. Any specific corners you want us to review over here in today's session?
I wanted to review turn 1, turn 2, and turn 5.
Turn 1, turn 2, and the hairpin over here, which is the left-hand hairpin, yeah? Turn 5?
Yes.
Amazing. If we look at the 2 corners, it's always good to look at similarities. Now, obviously, the direction is going to be the opposite way, but for turn 1 and 2, you're dealing with a double apex corner, 1, 2, and this even highlighted. The first apex sticks out a bit more in terms of the curb, whereas the second one is a bit more within the grass. Now, the turn 5 we're looking at is a typical hairpin turn. Let's go to turn 1 and turn 2, because I assume this is going to be your first braking point of the lap. Is there any specific reference for braking over here that you're using, or is on feeling?
The reference that I use is usually the third or the fourth speed bump that I see on the near the walls.
Gotcha. So somewhere like on this side, there's some kind of a bump, you're saying?
Yeah, there's runoff right there, and there's
Awesome.
smooth speed bumps that you can see.
Yeah. And what sort of apex are you trying to go for over here? Early, mid, late for the first corner?
I usually hit a mid or late apex because I want to set myself up tight for turn 2.
Yeah. I see what you're doing. So you'll be on sort of the yellow line over here. Don't go in too early, and then hit the latter part. Stay slightly tight, and then accelerating all the way out. So I assume you're doing your braking over here, and then the rest of it is just gas, right?
Yes.
That looks about right. We're going to come to the footage in just a moment. Let's go ahead to turn 5. Where's the sort of reference for braking over here right now? Where are you currently hitting the brakes?
My reference for brake, I don't really brake going into turn 5. I take it
Okay.
a little flat out.
Nice. From the outside, I assume?
Yes.
Mid, late apex?
Mid or late apex usually.
Sort of in between, right? So somewhere you can say just somewhere over here. So you can get the best possible exit coming out onto this back straight. And obviously this is very, very important, because I assume this is all flat out until maybe, is it somewhere here where you brake?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
a
the
right
exit.
way going that.
Sorry, you cut out there?
It's a little bit of a late, like a light braking going into that corner.
A little bit of light braking, yeah. Well, we'll go over to your lap over here now. Where was the best lap? You think towards, well, we got some delta and some splits over there. I think we can see purple. You just went a 18.8, which is very, very quick. And it looks like the 18.8 was on your lap 6. Let's go ahead to lap 6, see what you did on your fastest lap. Starting lap 6 over here, which is into turn 1 and turn 2. Now, it's a lot quicker than I expected. If we slow it down, we'll be able to see some of the references potentially that you were talking about. So there's some speed humps here, you're saying, on the left side?
Yes.
And is it this yellow line, or what is it specifically that we're looking for on the left side?
The yellow line. The barriers are now pushed out a little bit more, so you can go ahead and run off onto that part. But
Wow,
usually
okay.
about right here is where I start to brake.
Which one again? Where do you start to brake?
About right there where that speed bump was. As soon as right there.
Super. So on this lap, basically we're braking relatively late into the corner, which is nice. You're carrying a good amount of entropy. You can see your pedal inputs as well over here. Hard on the brakes. When are you trying to get back on the gas?
I try to get back on the gas as soon as I complete the turn, which is like the late apex.
Gotcha. And I can see over here you're running out slightly wide because you just got that much more speed. And the second apex, have you ever tried, going a slightly tighter, or you think this is a better approach, staying wide? It's not worth going to the inside.
If I've always seen like a little bit of space between you and the apex of turn 2 for a bit wider approach because of the defense of that you want to go ahead and carry into that corner.
Well, hold on. This is the end of lap 6 or what? Have we just started lap 6?
I think that was the end of lap 6.
This is the end of lap 6. Cool. Because I want to bring it back and compare the actual start over here that we got. So coming out of the first couple of corners, here we go. Yep. So this time we can try to look at a bit of the footwork, look at a bit of the line. Similar approach this time. And I'd say on this lap, for example, yeah, we keep a bit of a distance, but you're able to close it a bit more. I think you're slightly tighter this time around, yeah?
Yes, 100%.
Amazing. And have you ever tried an earlier break for this corner? I know you're going for a late break and then into the corner. What about early break, early gas? Have you tried that at turn 1 before?
Yes, I've tried that, and I definitely noticed that you do take a tighter line going into turn 1 and turn 2.
Mm-hmm.
But with the rentals that we do have, you need to keep the revs high.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's
yeah.
why I've always preferred a late braking with the rentals.
If we look at the track map, because this is going to be really nice to show you the two lines. So right now, I think what you're doing is something like this, where we're braking late and into the corner, and then getting on gas just at the apex, taking a close apex for the first part, but you can see just running out wide because the momentum carries you there. And then we don't really need to prioritize the inside apex, which makes sense, total sense. There's one approach that you could try, which is going for that slightly earlier break, and probably put it on dotted portion over here. Try to get on the gas a bit earlier as well, and then we take a slightly tighter line in the first part. What happens once you try to tighten up the second part? Yes, we're reducing the meters. You can see we take a shorter path, but it's the exit speed because we're turning more. I'm not sure if it's going to be as competitive as the guy on the left side compared to the guy on the inside. That's just something to try out. Again, if you've already tried it out and you found that going the further few meters to the outside is quicker, then it's quicker. Philip, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say for the first and second corner, that I think it's better to hit a middle apex for the first corner and then get early on the gas to get a good exit, because it's kind of a long straight after turn 2. So I think the exit must be prioritized.
Definitely. And as we can see over here, it's very long straight into the hairpin, especially in these carts. This is going to be crucial. Let's go ahead to our turn 5 hairpin then, which is going to be the opposite because it looks a lot tighter. And apparently you're able to take this flat down. Obviously, when we see the footage now we can tell, okay, compared to the overhead shot, wow, we've got a lot of space to work with, yeah?
Yeah.
And in fact, 3/4 from the outside edge, flicking it to the inside edge. Absolutely no braking or lifting then, Ray?
Yes.
Flat out. Then it's just about how much steering input you apply, and the accuracy of your apex, of course. On this lap, your best lap. Are you leaning at all in this corner? Using your body weight?
I think it's
I think we've caught you at a wrong time, Ray. I think you're with family at a beach or you're going out. What's going on?
I'm helping my mom get into Uber as of right now, but I'm staying.
I got you. Look, I totally appreciate that, and all the absolutely respect for that, but time and place, yeah. When we got to do the reviews, it's better you join at a time where you have a clear background and you're able to focus, yeah.
Yes, 100%.
Ray, we're gonna have to move on, I'm afraid. If you're not gonna be able to sort out the background noise issues, yeah.
Yeah. I'll definitely be here for next Sunday.
Absolutely. Well, when you're in a quieter environment, you're more focused, then it'll be better to go through this. Otherwise, we're just wasting our time, yeah?
Yes, 100%.
No worries at all, Ray. Thank you so much. We're gonna have to move on.
Okay. Have a good day.
Take care.
You too.
Apologies about that for the viewers, and again, we mean no ill intent, but time and place, guys, yeah? When you join Track Help, again, you got to be respectful of the viewers, of your background, of what you're presenting. This is a live presentation, so just be mindful of that, yeah? Now we're going to move on to a few questions which we've got from YouTube, from Instagram. It looks like we got Marcel over here saying, if you go karting often, buy some gloves. Now that is a great point, because many people ask, okay, I've done public karting a few times. What should I do? What equipment should I get? And more than the helmet, the easiest thing you can do is buy just a pair of gloves. It doesn't have to be anything flashy. You can find some good deals on a new website, which I've actually been buying from, Mondo Kart. And the reason why I'm leaning towards Mondo Kart now is they have so much stock. So if I go ahead to Mondo Kart, where is the... Yeah, this is a great example. This is like a 2022 model kart suit, for example, which you'll never find, a lot of these sizes and colors in stock. But Mondo Kart have got that. If you go over to their race wear section on the left side, now you'll be able to see kart gloves. And there's this new offer that's popped up, 24 euros for a really cool looking design. By Hurry Project, it looks like. And again, loads of sizes in stock and very fast and affordable shipping. If you look at the other gloves over here, whilst we're at it, there's a new pair which may have just gone out of stock. No, they're still here. These. I thought this design from Sparko for a budget entry-level glove is really nice. So these are the yellow ones, which, personally match my favorite color tone, which I like to wear with my equipment. They got some red over here, which also looks really nice. And for 25 euros, I think this is quite a bargain. If you compare it to some of the other models, we'll see. Where can we see that? On the previous page, if you want to load up. Go ahead, Philip.
I just wanted to ask if they sell shoes there, because my shoes are starting to get a bit small now.
Oh, definitely. Not only have we got all these gloves, but we've got kart shoes. You'll get quick delivery because they're based in Italy, Philip. So they'll be.
Oh yeah.
If you're going to Italy, maybe you can do it to Italian address or to wherever you're based now in Europe, and they'll do it. Again, all these options available at discounts, and old models. Like, where is it? This is a real throwback. We'll see. Alpine Stars KX1. I think they just took them off, but it's all available over here. And if you're looking for karting equipment, this is a great place to go. Mondo Kart. We're gonna move on.
Amazing. Thank you.
No worries at all. We were gonna move on to William. William has not attended, so it looks like we got about 20 or so minutes to go. We're gonna round off with Jed and Konstantinos. We'll first introduce Harry. What's up, Harry? Welcome back to Track Help. Is he still there? Nope, it looks like Harry's left. Okay, no worries at all. Jed, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Amazing. Appreciate your patience. And guess what, Jed? Just because you joined early, some other people have dropped out, and we've got a chance to go through your footage. I'm really happy to go through. It looks like some junior super champs round at Milton Keynes.
Yes.
Amazing. How long have you been karting for, Jed?
Around 3 to 4 months.
Superb. So you just got started.
Yeah.
How did you come across the KTips channel? Was it YouTube, Instagram, TikTok?
It was YouTube, and your tip really helped me, because when I started around this track, I was 129. I did 129s, but now I'm at 122 with your tip.
Oh, amazing. Well, hopefully we can go a bit faster over here, so we can identify those points. I have to say, Daytona Milton Keynes, one of the top tracks in UK, simply because they run a lot of events, they have a good management system, and the track just flows really well. I remember back to the 24-hour race, which is the annual, big event. It is unbelievable vibes to head out there and just experience. But hopefully in a few more years, that can be a long-term target for you to join one of their endurance races when you're a bit older. Right now, what footage is this that we're looking at? Is it a practice session,
Yes,
a race?
Session.
Practice session. How often do you go for practice? Do you go every week, every couple of weeks, every month?
Every week.
Every week, yeah. And was this on a weekend or weekday? It looks very empty.
Yeah, it was last week.
Perfect, perfect. When you had the track to yourself over here, do you just take whatever carts available? It looks like you got 82.
No, yeah, I am 82, but there were 5 drivers, including me.
Gotcha, gotcha. Do you use these same carts in the championship as well?
Yes. Well,
Perfect, perfect. Mhm.
for a championship in Kart, season 2.
Oh, okay, excellent. So is it that Super Champs is finished and now they're starting a new series?
Yeah.
Perfect, perfect. I think this is the best way to go about your preparation. Go for weekly practice. You're going to be driving the same karts you are in the competition. And if you can take a random kart, then it improves your chances, because you can't always, go for the fastest karts. Sometimes it's your luck, right? If you get a good one, a bad one, then you've got to adjust your driving around that. What I do want to do is bring up the track map for Daytona Milton Keynes, so we can have a look at the layout that you're doing. What layout are you going to be doing in your upcoming races?
The international layout, but on the in-kart, they sometimes change around the layouts.
They do, exactly. And you can see over here that the massive track of Daytona. We'll go through the standard layout. I assume you're doing the normal layout, yeah? In that video. Basically, you got a fast turn 1 into turn 2 and 3, which is our chicane. Straight into, you can say, the middle part of the track. We've got our hairpin 1. Let's highlight this into sector 2, just for example's sake. Into an interesting hairpin of the right-hand turn, which comes into our high-speed downhill fast right-hander, leading us onto the back part of the track. We've got another left-hand hairpin, which takes us to, I believe this is turn 8 now, the chicane. And the last sector is really, really fun to drive, especially in the faster karts. Once you get a good exit, you build up a lot of speed down this back straight. Look at that, long, long straight into a fast left before quite a heavy braking point and a very, very sharp first right hairpin into the last corner, which is another hairpin a bit wider, and that rounds off our lap. So where do you think you're quite strong on this track? Sector 1, 2, 3?
Sector 3.
Your strength is sector 3, amazing. And which corner or corners shall we go over today? In sector 1 or sector 2?
Around sector 2.
Sector 2, cool. Which corners is specific?
Turn 6 and turn 7.
You're gonna have to help me over here because it's been a while. Is it the right and the double right over here that we're talking about?
Yeah.
Or the right and the left?
The right and the left.
So coming down here, the right into the left, yeah?
Yeah.
Perfect, perfect. When do you think your best lap was in the video that you shared?
I think it was lap 8.
Basically in the middle?
Yeah, near the middle.
Towards the end? Yep. It'll be good to have a look at a couple of examples. This is good feedback as well whenever you look at your own footage. Have a look at those specific corners that you're doing on multiple laps, because you'll do something slightly different each time. So for example, this time, this was quite an attacking lap. It looks like could be towards one of the best laps itself. Let's get it down to slow motion. You're going to have to tell me now in these karts, because I'm too old to drive these karts, but are you going flat out through the first right over here?
Yes, this one, I go flat out.
Awesome. Are you trying to aim for a specific apex point, or you're just trying to get around the corner?
I'm just trying to get around the corner.
Cool. Whenever we tackle a corner like this, think about it in 3 stages. So what we've got is our, let's go over here. We've got our entry, which is going to be the beginning. We've got our apex, which is always going to be towards the inside. And then the exit, which you need to decide based on what corner comes next, right? So what happens is we've immediately got a left-hand turn. So we have to be mindful of where we want to exit. How we enter the corner and where we turn in will decide what kind of apex we take. So let's say we enter the corner from the middle and then we turn in quite early, right? What does that naturally incline? We're going to do an early apex. If we hit an early apex, which means we come to where my yellow circle is, we're then going to, because of the path of the kart and the speed, naturally just get thrown out wide. So on the exit of the corner, you end up somewhere here where the tires are. And I'm sure you've nudged these tires before. I know I've done that plenty of times. That's the tricky part for turn 5, the right-hander, which if you take too much speed or you turn in too early, you can end up going a bit too wide and then there's not much grip there. So we want to go for a relatively mid to late turn-in, because remember, if we can do something like this, where our rubbered in line is, and hit the latter part of the corner, which is over here, then we're not only set up to exit smoothly, carry maximum speed. Now for the next corner, you're set up very, very well. So what's the key for turn 5? Make sure that you're not turning in too early. Leave a gap to the inside, basically early apex, and then follow the rubbered in line, which will naturally get tighter and tighter as you get further down. The thing is, when you're trying to take this corner at full speed, we'll see on your lap, for example, as well, and you start turning in, the kart naturally loses grip at the front, right? So what does that happen? What happens then when the front tires have less grip? You get understeer. And what's understeer is you're turning the kart and it's going away from the corner. So be mindful of that. What happens when we get understeer? Just try to turn a bit sharper or use your body weight a bit more. Are you leaning at all in this corner?
Yes, I have been leaning, but I'm not sure if I was leaning on this lap. Yeah.
Gotcha. It's difficult to tell, obviously, based on how the camera angle is, but generally, if it's a right-hand corner over here, I want to go full speed. I see you're taking a sharp-ish turn in. Combine that with leaning out, so you can load the outside tires with grip. Try to pick up that inside rear tire. It's still very, very difficult in these heavy rental karts. And at the latter part of the corner, you can see over here, get nice and close to the inside edge. I want to have a look at some of the other laps, for example. So this is the previous lap. Coming out of turn 5. I like the human DRS. Is that making you faster?
Yes.
Amazing. Any little helps. Yeah. Do you experience a lot of shaking when you take this corner flat out? Juddering?
A bit, but usually most of the time.
Yeah. I can see on this lap, for example, you can see you're attacking the corner. You're trying to stay smooth, but the kart's shaking rapidly. You can see on the camera, right? A lot of bumping. What's happening over there is, yeah, the kart is just trying to grip, but you're obviously pushing to go flat out. Sometimes riding the bumps is going to be the fastest way, rather than lifting or braking a bit, which reduces your speed. So I'd really say there's one specific line to go through this corner to go smoothly, like you did on the next lap, which is just to stay slightly wider on entry and delay that turn in. I think what happened over here is you went in quite early, and then you get to the bumpy part of the track, and then the kart starts shaking. And that's a couple of tenths here and there. Whereas the next lap, you did a really nice effort, and I think you should continue doing this because I think this is quite smooth. Where are we? Yeah, turn 5. Coming in turn 5. Again, staying in the middle of the track, and at the latter part of the corner, then you're turning in smoothly and making up to the inside apex. Although there was a lot of shaking on exit, I do think that was the quicker line that you took. Into our turn 6, the left-hand hairpin. I assume there's a bit of braking for this corner. Is that correct?
Yes, a bit of braking.
Tap of the brakes, yeah? Where are you braking? Is it on feeling? Is there a specific point?
Not really. I'm testing out this track to get ready for the in-kart championship that I'm doing.
Gotcha. So it's always nice to set some references for braking. Obviously here it's going to be difficult because everything looks very much the same and there's no clear indication. So we're going to do it more on feeling. How do you do that? Well, judge the range on how quickly I'm coming to the corner. Keep a relatively wide line on entry because we've got a long straight coming up, and we want to prioritize exit speed. So the wider I can approach over here, entry, apex somewhere in the middle, it's fine, and exit somewhere out where the tires are. We can form a nice line like this. If you are going to go for a brake, try to do the brake relatively early in the turn, let's say where this pink line is. And once you can get this kart slowed down, ideally, press the brakes hard for a short period so the rear end steps out. You're basically using the brakes to turn the car. Then start giving it some gas, again, not 100%, but something before the apex. And I'll even put that in dotted. So dot, 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 dot over here. Give it something, give it some gas. But now that the car is gripping, right, you feel that it's not going to slide out. Steering wheel is relatively neutral in the middle. Now at the apex, I can put my foot down and get back on gas and accelerate out to the corner all the way. So that coming down on the run to turn 8, I know that got the best possible exit. Because if you can prioritize exit speed for this corner, you'll get a chance to potentially slipstream. And in that competition, you're going to do, maybe go for cheeky dive bomb down the inside, or even pass the guy before the breaking point of turn 8. So what I can see on your lap, which we're going to go back to now, good effort over here. You're having a nice and wide entry. Tap of the brake, it looks like, and then releasing just at the apex to get back on gas. What happens over here? I think you momentarily took your hand off the steering wheel, or you're quite loose. What happened?
I'm not too sure there.
I think your grip wasn't firm, so the kart just, went wherever it wanted. All we got to make sure, a basic thing as well, try to keep hands in a fixed position and in a firm grip. So we're in control of the kart, yeah? Kart's not going to go anywhere else that we do. The most important thing I would advise you to try next time is earlier, not even earlier. I think you're braking at a decent point over here, just a harder brake, right? So you can slow the kart down quicker and get that braking done, ideally before the apex. Because before the apex, this is where we want to be giving it some gas. Give it something, 50%. Hold that 50%, let the kart grip. By the time I'm at the apex, you can see touching over here, then I'm 100%. And then exiting the corner, back out wide to the exit again. Everything looks really, really smooth over here. Let's just make sure we're going for early brake and then early gas before the apex, yeah?
Yeah.
When are you going to go to the track next? When's the next race?
I went there today. And
Okay,
I
excellent.
had a lap time of a 1:22.0 when this footage was a 1:22.8.
Superb, superb, superb. Well, you've broken, what, 8/10 from your current best, so there's more to come. And I think with a couple of changes on your line through turn 5 and 6, you should be getting there, yeah?
Yeah.
We're gonna have to move on to the next driver, Jed. Be sure to come on to track help again if we get the chance. And that brings me on to my next point. A lot of people are saying, a lot of people submitted, first of all, footage. And unfortunately, we only have time to go through the first 3 submissions every week. So if you do want a more private session, right, more time with me one-on-one, then consider booking a private coaching session. The timings are more flexible and we can go more and more in depth. We're going to round off today's session with a bit of sim footage from X30 Senior around Wilton Mill. And this is going to be really, really interesting because sim racing is now, getting some decent karting options. It looks like this is our factor, Konstantinos, right?
Yeah.
And now this is bringing back a lot of memories of when I did the kart sim recently using the same software. Yep, they've got the Ayami Senior over here. You have a couple of choices. And you're doing Wilton Mill with the, looks like, is that the old layout? I believe it is. Because that last corner is still, unfortunately, the notorious flat out. The end. Yep, right. And then, yeah, this doesn't exist anymore.
Really?
Obviously, for certain reasons, it's not humorous reasons, but it's just simply because of a high-speed crash. I think somebody was going at full speed through here, and especially this, sausage curb, it just became very, very dangerous. And then you can see not much runoff as well on the exit.
Yeah,
When you
sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've had this.
Were you racing with a friend in this or open lobby?
No,
what's this?
I was in single player, just doing some practice.
Gotcha. What setup are you using? Logitech,
So
Fanatec?
I have Fanatec, the
Nice.
CSL DD, and the CSL load cell pedals.
Oh, amazing. You got the full setup then. And how is it with karting? Do you feel like it's realistic feedback on the steering wheel? It's not too heavy.
I will tell you. So I used to play on Kartcraft.
Yeah.
It wasn't very, the handling and braking wasn't very realistic. Now I've tried R Factor, which everyone says is the best, and I think it's the most accurate. Not the force feedback, because I've
Yeah.
had some problems with my steering wheel. Sometimes it disconnects, and I lose like my shifting and stuff and braking. But it's quite realistic.
Excellent. I think when obviously the last time I did it was with that team on their whole sim, which was Spectre. I'm not sure how that technology works, because they take the chassis of a kart,
Where
but
in PRC.
in PRT, yeah. Do you know if it's like I don't know, Fanatec supplying the connections or?
No, I saw, because I saw George's video.
Yeah.
I know that they have, because Kart Sim is a company. They not only make software, they make in some rigs for sim racing. They can build, I think,
Interesting.
something like that. But I think the chassis that is there, it's, I think, like DIY. I don't know if it's, or they just Kart Sim built for them and they just put the bumpers.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But they
It's custom made. Yeah.
but they're using Simicube for steering wheel, and the pedals I think are some of Kart Sims.
Yeah. So the top end kind of stuff. It did feel realistic, and the game itself, I think, the braking you can really push the limits, which I liked. So generally in real life in these karts, yeah, you want to go for a hard late brake. We've got Wilton Mill up over here once it loads, and yeah, you'll notice that this is the new chicane that they've put. So basically, it used to just be that, but now it's this and then a chicane to slow things down, because somebody had a big crash and whoop, something happened over here.
Yeah.
So any specific corners you wanted to go over?
So specifically, it's one that I a bit struggle is the this one.
Beginning, middle, end.
Middle sector.
Middle, okay.
So this hairpin.
Okay.
And not the next corner. There.
The left over here. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like downhill, and I don't know how, if I brake too much or if I brake correctly or stuff. And
Gotcha. Honestly, this is one of the really fun parts of the track. I did do it in rentals 2 years ago, and even on the rentals, wow, it's an amazing track. I can imagine just by looking even at the sim over here, it's going to be a lot like you actually improved to a 45.5.
I think the best lap time was 8:16.
So this is not your timing over here.
That is my timing.
Oh, okay, so 45.5, yeah.
I did it today because I changed some setups in the
okay.
scene.
You went even faster.
This one was the default setup.
Yeah,
so
gotcha.
Now I did a 45.1 or a 44.9, I think.
Amazing. Setup definitely makes a difference. What we're tackling over here is the first hairpin, and yeah, it's really about confidence under the brakes, carrying them into the corner, and then transitioning nicely onto the gas again. So what you'll find on the overhead shot is there's a bit of extra runoff for the exit. I'm not sure
Yeah.
how well that is in the game, but
No,
Travis,
I think it's pretty
pretty
it's the same
realistic,
thing.
right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Hard late brake into the corner, trailing off the brakes as we get towards the apex, and then smooth back on the gas, open up that exit. And yeah, they're quite lenient. I've seen with track limits there, depending on whatever race or practice session is going on. But let's,
I want to see you see where it said the gears in the left. It was my braking. Do you think I trailing like
this is
smoothly
actually your
or-
best lap. This is
Yeah.
your what is it, 45.2 we're watching. Watch the left bar because this is actual live telemetry.
Yeah.
You can see hard on the brakes at full pressure, and then you can see easing off as you turn in, and then boom, right at the apex is where you've come off the brakes. I think that's one of the clearest examples of a good attempt, because what's going to happen at the end of this lap, you're going to smash this timing by, I think, 6/10 or 7/10. It'll be 45.5. So you've really hit the brakes late and hard. Let's see exactly where you brake.
My last laps that I have done, I go really late. I think later I brake a bit or a bit.
I was going to say,
late,
yeah,
or a
because
bit
right
late.
now this is where you've hit the brakes, and it's late. It's pushing the limits.
Yeah.
I think a kart length or two, you can experiment by going for it. Turn in wise, this is almost perfect. You don't want to go too early. Go for a mid to late apex, hitting that nicely on the inside. Could just be mindful of being closer.
Yeah.
So then the exit you can use nicely over here. Look, that's fine. Using the
I
right.
use it. No, I thought I didn't use it because when I use it right now, I lose a bit of time. I don't know why.
Then you're probably taking a tighter apex here and then keeping it within the track limits.
Yeah.
Possibly. Now we got the next section coming up, which is really nice. I think this is a tap of the brake for rotation and then back on gas, which is not too bad over here. I really like how you attack the left-hand corner. And then we've obviously got the tricky chicane of some sort, you can say. It's a tight left into a right. It's a winding corner left, and now we've got the right. It's interesting over here what you're doing. Where's the braking reference or on feeling? What's going on?
The feeling is, I think you see on the left the guy in the
Yeah.
or there or a little bit later. It's more feeling when I see like I'm going too fast. I slam on the brakes. I trail them, but I don't know because in some laps, if you see another lap, which is not my best lap, I lose it and I go really wide or I go really like this was on point with the track. Like when I spy that you told me don't take the curve. But in other laps, if you go, you will see that I'm pretty again inconsistent.
Yeah. That's definitely something you'll have to develop through doing more and more laps. This is a nice reference as my tires alongside this Marshall post. You can see on the brakes. Let's look at the brake intensity. It's just peaking out at about like 85%. So what you want to do is maybe go for a slightly later but harder brake, right? And try to maximize that pressure, because obviously you got the gauge over here. The harder we can brake, which means we can brake a little later as well, so gain a bit more entry speed. The line looks really good coming in towards the inside apex. Have you tried taking this curb? What happens?
The car, it's like the carbon SFI, the car just flies like and it
same
just
reaction.
Yeah.
Here best just to stay until
when we brake at the and when we try to do trail brake, we have to hear our tires squeezing.
Yeah. You'll hear that when you know you've broke hard. That's not necessarily the trail brake, because the trail brake is referring to the coming off the brake, but that initial pressure is hard enough so that you can hear that screech. And it's something you can train nicely on the simulator, because you got the karts and the different layouts, so you can practice. Okay, braking hard early, braking hard late. What's the difference? Line again looks pretty much spot on, using the track until the inside white line, and then exiting back on gas, a bit of the curb on the right side, which looks perfect. All I'd say is everything looks good. at the hairpin, go for a slightly later break, which obviously you've been trying anyway, and see if taking a tighter apex and staying within the track limits is faster.
Yeah.
And the same thing carries on for our left-hand corner here. Experiment with this Marshall post and just a bit more braking intensity, so you can carry a bit more entry speed.
Yeah. So in the also in the last the corner in where it's here. Right now I go not here
This one? No. This one.
Here, yeah. I don't know. I have experimented taking it flat in the corner, taking curb flat, but I think because when I take the curb, the car goes off the track, and until it gets down on the track on the surface again, I don't have time to brake. But I think I did it in a better time. I don't know.
So you're talking about taking the inside curb here. Should you take it or not?
Yeah,
that's an interesting one, because you've obviously got the sharp right which comes after, and I think it's about the angle that you hit the curb at. Certainly it's possible to use it, but what happened when you took it last time? Was it a lot of curb? Was it half of the curb? What did you take?
I think half full curb.
Okay, gotcha. And what happened when you came off the curb? Did it gain you time, lose you time?
I think it stayed neutral, because again it bounced a lot, but I projected forward from the curb. And
were you able to review the delta over here on entry and exit that time you took it?
I didn't really remember that.
Okay, because this is a really nice example. You can actually compare it to this lap, because this example, what we're seeing is you're a tenth up on corner entry, right?
Yeah.
Braking relatively early, again, with moderate amount of pressure. By avoiding the curb this time and getting back on gas slightly early as well, you'll see the delta then rise back up and gain huge, like 3/10, 4/10, just by that smoother exit and more controlled line. So I'd experiment. Definitely taking a bit more curb. You could curb hop, which gains you more RPM, and I don't know how realistic it is in the game. Also taking a shorter path, but that's for you to try out.
Yeah.
When are you going to practice next? Now, obviously, it's not like the track where you got limited availability. This is sort of at your own convenience, right?
Yeah.
Do you have a schedule for sim racing or a certain time that you do it at?
Because now in the summer I have a lot of free time. I just go and practice, and when I have school also in the weekends and stuff. But I'm planning to do the T4, the Peloton T4 esports championship.
Oh, awesome! Yeah.
But I don't know. But I still want some track usage, because I have some, but only with X30. Like I've done 200 kilometers with X30 and 80 with the T4s. But the T4s are I don't really know with the braking, should I use threshold or trade it, because they're quite low power for with the T4s, it's a hybrid of them. You got the lighter chassis, so definitely you will have to be on the brakes a bit longer compared to a rental car, but you can go gas a bit earlier and a bit more aggressive. See, in road tax, if you're you're too aggressive with the initial gas input, you get wheel spin, you feel that the cart is going to slide. In these, it's a bit more constant, right? When you put your foot down, and a bit of a delay almost. So feel free to brake late and then get back on the gas as well aggressively. I'm afraid, Konstantinos, we're out of time for today. We are going to have to wrap up. It's been an absolute pleasure. Until next week, Sunday at this time. I was going to say until next week, but I'm afraid it's going to have to match up with time zones. If we go to the latest Instagram post, if you guys have been following KTips on Instagram, we recently announced that we're collaborating with the Malaysian karting community. What an absolute bunch of people. We've got a race set up at Pinnacle Karting in the T4, so I'll let you know how that goes. And these are T4 karts. Yeah.
And we're going to be hosting a 2-hour crash course teaching you guys the karting fundamentals at LYL, Asia's biggest karting track. There's plenty more other tracks we're going to be visiting and driving at, plenty of content being recorded. So this is next week's schedule, and unless we manage to fit the time in to do track help, because it's very much a different time zone we're in, we might have to give next week a miss.
I think these 2 weeks, because I'm gonna be on holiday. I think after these 2 weeks, in like half or in like middle of August, because I will go to SFI there and then and I will have new footers.
Amazing.
I will be here again.
We're looking forward to that. It's always a pleasure, Konstantinos. And thank you to everyone else who has joined and commented. Until the next time at 6 p.m. GMT, we will see you all then. Take care, everybody. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Take care,
much.
Jet.
Bye.